Today we'll be discussing recent events at the National Assembly where a senator was suspended for raising budget padding allegations to the tune of 3.7 trillion naira. We'll be discussing the implications of this event, and we'll also delve into the wider issues of transparency and accountability in government. We'll also be talking to an expert who will share with us what he thinks should be done going forward to address these issues. Fancy 3.7 trillion naira. What do you make of this whole drama that is going on at the National Assembly?
So the major issue, the major word for me there is padding. We've over the years had about budget padding, mostly the executive accusing the legislator of padding the budget. I had the privilege of speaking to a former legislator who said when the budget gets to them, they have some sort of powers to suggest things that they feel should also be in the budget.
To influence.
Yeah, to influence the budget, because they, according to them, they are closer to the people, they know the needs of the people much more than the executive. So in that regard, they find a way of, okay, I have this project in my community that I want included in the budget. I lobby for it, and then it gets maybe included in the budget at the National Assembly before it gets to the back to the executive. And the executive will see it and say, no, this one is not in the budget before. So I believe in my own little understanding that is what our party is. But in the Ningi issue, outside the budget, there is 3.7 billion naira that was not tied to anything. And then this man came up to speak about it. And the Senate leadership landed the hammer on him and suspended him for 3 months. That is like suspending his constituency, Bauchi Central, I believe, suspending his constituency from participating in the activities of the Senate in the next 3 months. I think it is...
In a democracy.
Yes, in a democracy. I think it is not a good thing to do. Like you said, we're going to be talking to an expert. I don't really know if the Senate has the powers to suspend a sitting senator. I don't know if the Constitution allows for a vacuum in the representation of a particular constituency in the National Assembly. If it does, then probably Ningi would have gotten what some people would say he deserved. But I so much believe that a lot of people felt he was not treated right. I expected, in my own understanding, I expected that, okay, if this man come up with these allegations, there should be a committee that will look into this issue, investigate it and say, okay, yeah, he is not supposed to have said that, and then we can suspend him. We saw this happen during when Yakubu Dogara was the Speaker of the House of Representatives. At the moment Jibrin left the Senate, he was suspended for 1 year. So he left the House of Reps because of this same padding issue. It lingered so long that he got suspended for 1 year, and before his suspension will elapse, the tenure had ended. So that was how he lost out. So this issue is coming up now and then. I think it's something that we should be concerned about.
Yeah, I mean, I like that you say this is not the first time that we're hearing about padding, and from what you just explained, the influence that the National Assembly has on the budget, it's it's a beneficial relationship between the National Assembly and the executive, and then the padding is just used loosely. But then, since we've had situations, like this one, where lawmakers have come out to talk about it, and then we know that the budget, at the state level or at the national level, is a law. It's not a document that anyone can just use a pen and just add something, and you say, oh, I'm padding it. But then that it keeps coming up. I believe that, we might be onto something, there's something that they're not telling us. And Senator Ningi is not a new senator.
Yeah.
He's
He's
an experienced senator.
Sure.
So for him to come out and speak, and this is an assembly that has been embroiled in a lot of controversies. Remember in December when the Senate president said he was going to be sending emails, and all of those things. And then now we are hearing about padding, and then we are hearing about is it 3 billion or what did you say? That not have any project or any.
Yeah, 3.7 trillion naira. Even before that, there was this issue of about 27 trillion naira that was spent by the CBN, and then it was approved by the Senate under the former Senate president. The issue came up, and then I remember listening to Senate President Abbo telling the former Senate President Ahmed Lawan that you are a culprit in this issue since it was under you and you approved it, and which was not supposed to be approved by the National Assembly. That money was not supposed to be. It was way beyond Nigeria's project. So these are some of the issues that comes up in the National Assembly that people get to hear about it in situations that we are in now. You sit down at home wondering where you will get food to eat, water to drink,
Exactly.
and then you hear this kind of.
Because I believe that this one is getting a lot of attention because of the hardship that
Yes.
people are going through.
Yes.
Because before now, you just hear all these issues on the National Assembly and you say, oh, this one is a family matter, they will soon sort themselves out. But then this time around, I am observing that there is a lot of attention on this whole issue. Nigerians are interested in knowing what is actually going on. And the funny aspect is they didn't even address, the concern. It's an allegation, and I've heard them say, oh, you need to bring an evidence. And then, of course, the National Assembly has its own way of doing things, and one of which is not to go talk about such things to the press or, whatever medium you want to use. But then they are not even addressing the issues. Just like you said, we've not seen any committee or any attempt to investigate this concern that this gentleman has raised. So it's really funny, and it shows that Nigerians are being taken for granted because by suspending him, is this a message that the Senate leadership is trying to pass to other senators that look, if you if you go off points, this is what is going to happen to you, or what exactly is the message that the Senate leadership? I don't know if you watched the session when that suspension happened. Those again say yeah, those again say nay. I don't know if I wasn't paying attention, but I didn't hear the voice vote. And then the gavel went, and then he happily took a bow and left.
Yeah.
As if to say, I would rather walk away. I would rather go on suspension than be part of the fraud.
Yeah, I would have said the Senate president used his powers, because if I remember clearly, it was a little of nay. I didn't really hear the usual
Yes.
It
was as
in
if
favor.
he had already made up his mind, or whatever caucus that
Yes.
was behind that had already made up their mind.
Yes.
And so at that point, it didn't matter whatever way the votes went. He had already made up his mind, or they had made up their mind. That
But what I also expected to see is if it goes that way, we're just trying to roll our heads around it. If it goes that way, I would expect that senators begin to come out to say we are not in support of what happened. We are not in support of suspending this person. That is, if you really think what he said was right and you think what the Senate president did was wrong. But of course, like you said, first-time senators, a lot of them, with this, they will be scared. They will then scared, because who the hell will you be to stand up and then say something against the leadership of the Senate? You'll be suspended. If this one goes scot-free, and then it happens that, okay, this suspension stands and nothing is done about it, then we should be expecting to see a lot more suspensions going further. It's just this assembly just started, and then we are seeing this kind of thing. And then there's this issue of 500 billion naira to senior senators, ranking senators.
Well,
ranking senators got
So which senator is not a ranking senator?
First-time senators are not ranking senators.
Oh, okay.
Ranking senators are senators that have been in the National Assembly for 2-3 years, for 2-3 terms, and all that. So ranking senators got 500 million naira, and then some ranking senators didn't get that 500 million naira. I believe it's one of the privileges that
so
they
that means
get.
all animals are equal, but some are more
equal than others, of course. I really think it's unfortunate that we're having this kind of issues at this critical time that Nigeria is going through a lot of challenges, economic challenges and all that. But to give more insight into this issue, I think it's better we just invite I guess we have joining us now Senator Ishaku Abbo, the former senator representing Adamawa North Senatorial District at the Senate. Senator, you're welcome to the governor's inbox. We'll be having you for some time talking about the Ningi Gate, as we call it, the issues around Senator Ningi, how he talked about the pardon and how he got suspended from the Senate. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Good evening, distinguished.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for agreeing to speak to us on the governor's inbox.
Nagode.
Yes, sir. So my name is Blessing, and this is Percy.
Thank you. Nice meeting the two of you.
So we are going to be taking you up on the recent events in the National Assembly. And last week, I saw a post on Facebook, and somebody said, "This is where is Senator Abbo when you need him?" You know, a lot of people are curious to know what you will have said or how you will have acted if you were still on the floor of the National Assembly. So this is the time that people are missing your inputs most, and then we felt it would be nice to have you talk about some of these issues on our podcast.
Thank you. I think this is the dominant topic in Nigeria today.
Absolutely.
At the time, Nigerians are still trying to recover from the shocking revelations of the over 27 trillion naira waste and means which was spent by the Central Bank of Nigeria without the approval of the National Assembly. Only after they finished spending the money, they rushed to the National Assembly to legitimize their illegitimate spendings, which I raised the matter in the 9th Senate. And I told them, the National Assembly has no power to regularize. We only have the power to approve. Before expenditure, you approve it. When Nigerians are still reeling from these revelations, and the Senate just set up a committee to look at the ways and means expenditure, over 27 trillion naira. At the time, the annual budget was 16 trillion, and a government agency spent 27 trillion, more than the national budget for Nigeria, even though it was accumulated over the period of time, but it was actually an extra budgetary expenditure, which was not approved by National Assembly. When Nigeria are still reeling from this shock, then another one came from the National Assembly. A ranking senator, the chairman of a Northern Senators Forum, came out and accused the leadership of the National Assembly of padding the budget with a whopping 3 trillion naira. Now, the question here is, can the National Assembly pad budget? No. A budget is a bill. We call it appropriation bill. It has to go through the first reading, second reading, and third reading. It is the power of the National Assembly to approve that bill, because it is just a bill like any other bill. Appropriation bill is just like any other bill in the National Assembly. The reason why it is serious because money is involved. So the National Assembly actually has the power to put any amount of money that it deems fit with consultation of Nigerians, with due consultation of Nigerians, because it has to go through the third reading. So National Assembly cannot pad budget. However, what Ningi raised was not just a padding of the budget. What he raised is actually a more serious matter, that the National Assembly passed 25.5 trillion naira as 2024 appropriation, only for them to go and discover that there is an additional 3.7 trillion naira, the one that was not passed by the National Assembly. Now, this was a very serious issue. I am studying the budget myself, and very soon I will come out to address Nigerian people on my own discoveries. The suspension of Senator Ningi by the Senate, or actually by Senator Abbo, was not just illegal, but it was like face saving. You do me, I do you. I have my power to revenge. That was it. It was face saving. If I were to be the Senate president, or if I were to be in the Senate, first of all, the matter came under privileges. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Appropriation came out under matter of privileges, and then gave his own explanation. If any senator felt that his privilege was breached, what the Senate president could have done was to refer the matter to the Senate Committee on Ethics and Privileges and investigate that issue. Then the Senate Committee on Ethics and Privilege will invite Senator Ningi to appear before them and furnish them with those documents. And then from there, the committee will come and now report back to the Senate. That was not done. They just rushed with his suspension. We suspend even when the National Assembly, the Senate, said, no. Senator Abbo said, the ayes have it. It was self-saving. It was gangsterism, which I felt it was not right. The next day, they said she should resign as chairman of Northern Central's Forum. And then they brought in a lackey, a first-time senator, to become the chairman of the Northern Central's Forum. He have not even finished knowing what is in the National Assembly. He don't even know how Senate operates. They now gave him the leader of the bloc just because he's loyal to Akpabio. The current National Assembly, it is something else, and it's the worst Nigeria have in recent years. That is my own personal take on this.
Okay, Senator, you just mentioned earlier, this is happening at the time that Nigeria is going through a lot of economic challenges. People are going through a lot. Prices of foodstuff, prices of almost everything has gone up. And then we see little or nothing effort from the government. One would expect that the National Assembly will be focusing on providing solutions to some of these challenges. And then we also hear that high-ranking senators, that's senior senators, were given 500 million naira each. Someone complained, one of the senators complained that he didn't actually get that money. Is this like a tradition in the National Assembly?
Yes, it is a tradition for some select senators, more especially ranking senators, to be given priority during budgetary allocation, not cash. For example, if I have a road construction that is ongoing in my village, or a dam for maybe dry season irrigation farming, that I have no money in the budget to execute it, they will now put that 500 million naira extra for road construction in my constituency or for water project in my constituency, but not cash given 500 million. It is actually a project worth that amount. When you talk about constituency project, a senator is entitled to not more than 220 million naira constituency project. I say project. That means it's either water, road construction, healthcare delivery, education, or any other thing. They will now give me 220 million naira worth of project. That is the so-called constituency project that we are talking about. Per annum, per year. While a state governor, most state governors, They go home with as much as 700 million naira security vote every month. But there's so much focus on the National Assembly constituency project. Look at me. I spend more than 200 million naira in a year from my own basis that I make. I make more money that I spend on my people. I think journalists, you journalists, have to do more by educating Nigerians on what is actually constituency project. So the 500 million naira that Senator Jaribe raised was actually for project as captured in the 2024 budget, not cash.
Distinguished, Senator Ningi was the chairman of the Northern Senators Forum. So one would have expected to see some form of solidarity from the Northern Senators in the Senate. But then we saw how everything went. And then by the next day, we have a new chairman for the Northern Senators. What do you make of the role that other Northern Senators played in this whole Ningi Gate saga?
Well, first of all, I am a Pan-African. I am a Pan-Nigerian. I believe in the indivisibility of Nigerian nation. I believe in the unity of North-South. But I am also a very strong advocate of regional development. When we develop our regions, when leaders within those regions actually pay premium to the development of their region, it is called healthy rivalry. Other regions also scamper, struggle, do everything possible to say their own regions are also being developed. I am a strong advocate of regional development. And before I left the Senate, I was actually the treasurer of Northern Central's Forum. I was the acting secretary of Northern Central's Forum before I became the treasurer of Northern Central's Forum. Up to this very date, I have not handed over as treasurer of Northern Central's Forum. I have not handed over up to this very moment. Now, talking about Northern Senators, like in every organization, there's a crack. And I have to admit that there's a very big crack within the Northern Senators Forum. People within the North Central are sabotaging anything that have to do with Northern Nigeria. Put me anywhere and play this because it's recorded. The North Central are sabotaging the effort of the Northern Senators Forum. And look at the election to the office of the Senate President. I am a Christian. I'm a son of a pastor. But I felt that since we advocated that same-faith ticket was not good for my party, the APC, that they should mix between a Muslim and a Christian president and vice president. Now, they came to campaign for us that they needed a Christian to balance the equation. What equation are you trying to balance? When we warned you, you didn't listen. And now, if you are now balancing, at what cost? At cost of Northern Nigeria. At best, President Tinubu told us when we went to see him at the presidential villa at the banquet hall, the senators elect that time and the House of Reps elect. President Tinubu said the vice president is a spare tire. That's what he said. And he said there can't be two presidents. There's only one president. He told us this face to face and asked any senator. Now, the only non-position that we wanted the North to have is the Senate president. The North gave Tinubu 63.3% of the vote they gave Tinubu, meaning they rejected their own son, a Fulani man from Adamawa, Atiku Abubakar. They not rejected him and say, let us vote this Yoruba man from the southern part of the country to unite this country. Not voted for him. Today, North is empty in his government. He turned against the North. He was losing in Lagos. We Northerners were rallying behind him. So when I came up, I said, let us give a Northerner Senate president so that we will have number 3 citizen, the head of the legislative arm of government, to be the Senate president and the chairman of the National Assembly. And they worked against it. Who worked against us? Not Central. In the North Central, they have 19 senators in the North Central. We got only 4 votes. Senator Yari got only 4 votes. I know who voted Senator Yari because I was like the DG campaign, the de facto DG campaign. We got only 4 from the North Central. So the saboteurs of the North is not Central. The saboteurs of Northern Centers Forum are centers of North Central. They are the saboteurs. They sabotage the North. They sabotage the North effort. And that's the truth. So when we go up there, even though most senators, they had no interest in suspending Senator Ningi, Senator Akpabio overruled them. If I were in the Senate, he will not do it. I will stand up and then claim my own right and ask for a division. The law says that if any senator felt that he was wrongly overruled during voting by the president of the Senate, you can challenge the president of the Senate by calling for division, and you stand up. And the law said when you challenge, the Senate president will vacate his seat and come down now and become the chairman. And the clerk at table or the Senate clerk will ring a bell, will first of all clear the chamber. That means a closed door session is started. Clear the chamber of the National Assembly, and a division bell will be rung for 1 minute. They will lift the bell up and ring it, ring it for 1 minute while you are looking at the clock. Once the 1 minute pass, you will now drop the bell and now ask for the chambers to be locked. They will lock up the chamber. And the clerk of the Senate will now bring the register of senators. And every senator will answer his father's name and now tell the world where he is voting. Yea or nay. Well, that means ayes or nay. I could have called for a division that day. Let these senators now come and say, I am suspending Ningi, so we can have their own names in the note. But most of them are really bad. There are people who fear authority. In fact, some of the senators, they don't deserve to be senators. See, I'm sorry to use this word, but they are like kids.
Okay, did you see from what you just said and all the analysis that you've made, it appears that Senator Akpabio is going to have a strong hold on all the senators that you just mentioned now, who are afraid of the powers that be. Most of them new senators, they will be afraid that something will happen to them, suspension, or maybe election matters might come up, even though we're done with that. But something might happen to them that will affect their chances in the Senate. What you were there and you have all the experience, what would you advise that going forward, senators do to stamp their feet to avoid this kind of situation that we have with Ningi?
Unfortunately, like I said, the current senator is not just rubber stamp. If you are rubber stamp, you should see what you are stamping. Current crop are lesser than rubber stamp. They don't even see what they are stamping. If 25 trillion is approved, and out of nowhere, 37 trillion, 28 trillion appears, that means there's additional trillion. That means you don't even see what you are stamping. You don't even see what you are stamping. So you are even lesser than rubber stamp. If I had to be a rubber stamp, at least I'm a robber. Let me see what I'm stamping. Current one, they don't even know what they are stamping. That is the level that the Nigerian Senate descended to. And most of them there, they don't even know their powers. They don't know their powers. We are seeing in the US today about support to Ukraine. Republican senators have shut down. They say nothing is happening. And nothing is happening. That's the power of the National Assembly. But we have a group of senators who don't even know their power. They don't even know. So I have to say this. Akpabio is sitting over a deeply divided chamber, and he have lost the respect of senators. If what you are using to keep people is fear, fear has an expiry date. If what you are using to keep people with, I will suspend you, I will do this. What can a Senate president do to me if I'm a senator? He's just my colleague. He's just one of me. He's just one. So he's just one. He won election, I won election, and we met in the chamber. So you're not bigger than me. You just happen to be one among the equal. Not even first among the equal, just want to be among the equal. We selected you to be sitting there in front of us. I think the current group of senators need to realize their powers and need to work for the Nigerian people. It is sad what is happening now in the National Assembly.
Thank you very much, distinguished. What has happened to me raised more questions than answers, because what has happened is they just suspended Senator Ningi without addressing the issues. And I think Nigerians are more curious than ever to see how this whole issue, pans out. And we could go on and on. You're always a delight to talk to or to listen to. Some of us followed your journey in the National Assembly, and it's as if this conversation shouldn't end. But I really hope that the next time we ask to speak with you, you would oblige us. Been enlightened. Thank you so very much.
Before we let him go, Senator, I would like you to say just a few words about the whole happenings in the country. It's your party that is in power. It has been in power for the past 8 years, and then there are these accusations that APC dragged Nigeria back to where it was in so many years back, and then Tinubu came, and then the challenges tripled. We've seen high in inflation in every aspect of the economy. Is there hope inside for Nigerians? The common man is suffering. Is there hope?
It's not only the common man. Everybody is suffering. We have seen situations in Abuja where kidnappers move freely into the seat of power and kidnap people and kill people because he didn't pay ransom at the time they wanted it to be paid. Of course, the security challenge did not start during this administration. It has always been there, and we saw it continue to rise. Let me end up on the Ningi matter. Senator Ningi should go to court. There's a court judgment in Dume and others against the Senate. There are two prominent court rulings where the court says that the Senate has no power to suspend a senator. That is a court judgment, existing court judgment. Senate rule book is just a rule book. And even at that, the law says that you can be suspended for only 14 days. Why do you have power to suspend a senator for 3 months? The law says that every senatorial district must be represented in the National Assembly. Now they suspended that senatorial district, not Ningi now. They suspended that senatorial district out of the Senate. They have no power to do that. And I believe, I pray Nigerian democracy will grow to a level that we will live it better for our children. We are all getting old. We are all fizzling out. Let's live a better country for our own children. There's hardship in the whole world, not just in Nigeria, but our over-reliance on dollar and the fact that President Buhari, I'm not a man that apportion blames to people, because Tinubu was aware of the challenges before he ran for president. So nobody can blame Buhari today. But I'm still bitter about Buhari's refusal to build refineries in this country. Buhari could have constructed minimum of 8 refineries within his 8 years in power. He could have constructed 8 refineries. By now, nobody will even be talking about removing fuel subsidy, because Nigeria could have been in fact, #1 supplier of fuel to the world, not now talking about removal of subsidy. That we could have done. And Tinubu is repeating the same mistake. I've not seen him talking about construction of refineries in this country. They are secretly now paying subsidy behind the door because IMF just said it. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. Something is wrong with the leadership in this country. But I know someday, sometime, I'm an optimist. I have hope, even against hope, that someday Nigeria will get it better. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you very
Senator, for your
much.
time. We hope that when next we call, because there are so many issues that we would love to also talk to you for your wealth of experience to be heard by all Nigerians. Thank you very much once again for your time. We'll call up on you very soon again to have another session that will bring knowledge and insight into all citizens. Thank you very much, Senator.
Thank you. Michael.
So, nagode, bye.
That was Senator Ishaku Abbo giving us insight, some revelations into activities of the Senate and what he feel should have been done, and also some fine and kind words to new time senators on how to go about their activities at the National Assembly. Watching this video, please, I will urge you to like, share, and comment. Follow us on all social media handles that are displayed on your screen right now. So, interesting session with Senator, I would say.
Really, really interesting. It's always a delight, and just like I told him, a lot of us have missed, his contribution to the National Assembly because he was a very vibrant, even though a lot of people considered him controversial.
Yeah.
But then it is in times like this that you miss people like that, or that you need people like that could actually, come out and have a voice and speak up when such incidences are happening. And like I said, there's more to this than we know. And this conversation with the senator, you agree with me that has been really insightful.
Of course.
And it has given us light. And it has even made me more curious, to investigate and then to just keep tabs on the turn-up of events, at this point, with what is happening and with the things that he has told us.
Yeah. We sure look out for it and then see what comes up from this very issue, and also do as much episode as we can to throw more light so that people will understand deeply what this whole saga is all about. Thank you very much for joining us on the Governor's Inbox. Keep that with us as we come with more interesting episodes on issues around the society.